Smart Solutions. Add-on desires.
Welcome to Adad Solutions Current Affairs Program. I am Venkat Sheshareddy. PM launches Ujjwala 2. Ujjwala second phase says migrants won't need address proof. What is Ujjwala scheme? Ujjwala scheme is intended to deliver gas cylinders subsidy towards the people who are below poverty line. Who are the people who are below poverty line? People who are earning less than $2 a day are treated as a below poverty line, and there are certain limits for urban and rural poverty lines, and according to this, whoever are the eligible, they will be getting the gas cylinders at a subsidized price, and this subsidy would be somewhere around 1600 rupees per the consumer. And here, what is the purpose behind this? What are the objectives for this Ujjwala scheme? The Ujjwala scheme object is to reduce the in-house pollution and safeguard the women, because women are the most affected people in this in-house pollution that is causing because of the coal or maybe some other like cooking firewood, or all these things will be leading to huge pollution in-house in the kitchen. So to reduce that in-house pollution, it is to be replaced by this gas cylinder, which will be very less pollutant, and which is very convenient and easy for the women to cook, so that it will be even encouraging the afforestation and also discouraging the deforestation. Then will be allowing the women to go out in the go out for the work. In all these perspectives, this will be helpful for the people. And then what is the Ujjwala 2.0? Ujjwala 2.0 is all about, we have seen that in pandemic situation, all the migrant workers could not able to get any benefits. Even before also, these migrant workers could not able to get any benefits because of the lack of proofs, address proofs. So now, to do away this situation, because most of the rural population who are in our country are totally dependent upon agriculture labor. Now, agriculture is a seasonal kind of employment which will be giving you. As this seasonal employment is available only for 3 to 4 months in a year, rest of the time you have to travel somewhere else for the purpose of work, to find out the work. And whenever they migrate to somewhere else, they don't have this facility of address proofs, etc. Because of this, they are not entitled for the availing the ration, or maybe gas cylinders, or maybe any other kind of subsidies or benefits that they are actually entitled to. So to do away these all hardships, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has launched a Ujjwala 2.0 scheme, and has do away the condition of submitting the local address proof. The Aadhaar is sufficient, and you don't have to submit the local Aadhaar proof. It provides for, like, what is the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana? It provides for 5 crore LPG connections to families below the poverty line. Financial support of 1600 rupees provided by the scheme for each LPG connection for BPL household. The administrative cost of this support is borne by the central government. Objectives of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana: to empower women and protect their health, to minimize health issues arising from the use of unclean fossil fuels and other fuel while cooking, to control indoor pollution from the use of fossil fuel which causes respiratory issues. And there is a study that is saying the offsprings of a woman, like the third generation, will also be getting affected if any respiratory diseases or maybe malnourished woman is there. So that by addressing these things, then it will be able to make a better future. And also it is been addressed even in the limits to growth in 1972 meet, where this coking fuel or the firewood is causing lot of pollution in our country. And if we can do away this by replacing LPG, then that will be safeguarding a lot of the emissions, so that will be reducing or containing the climate change. The next thing is corruption in FCI may spiral out of control. House panel. What is the House panel? House panel is about the parliamentary panel that is saying, now here what is the FCI? FCI is entrusted with the duty of procuring grain from farmers. Now, and apart from that, they will be storing those grain and then will be distributed according to the need of the time, or maybe for the PDS, or maybe for some other need according to the directions of the government. But we already know that we are having a very limited facilities of storing these grain. The quantity of godowns that we are available are very less. Then what happens is, there is a huge wastage in this storage houses, and within this there is a huge corruption in the FCI officials, even though there are many bodies, vigilance and CBI are continuously probing into this, and also even after aware of that these organizations are always keeping an eye, but because of two aspects they are not containing. If this is allowed the same way, this will be even more dangerous in the future. What are those issues? These are very slow in the jurisdiction, where like it will be leading the case for many years. Meanwhile, they will be getting retired also. And the other thing is, it is not fast enough to solve the issues. So these are the areas where it is giving confidence, and this is not going to be a good sign for the organization where it is procuring all the grain. The next topic is top court gives wake up call to lawmakers. Who are lawmakers? Lawmakers are the people who get elected to either assembly or the parliament. Here may be directly getting elected, those are MLAs or MLCs in the house assembly, and MPs of Rajya Sabha who are indirectly getting elected, the people who directly get elected to Lok Sabha. Now what is the issue here? Criminalization of politics. What is the meaning of criminalization of politics? Criminalization of politics means the criminal people who are having criminal background are entering into direct politics. They are becoming the representatives, people representatives, and this is a bad sign, and a democracy should not be having this huge number or this huge percentage of criminals in politics. Then what is the percentage? Just try to have a look at. As many as 70% of candidates analyzed from the BJP and RJD in the 2020 Bihar Assembly election had criminal cases against them. The share was lowest for BSP candidates among major parties. This is also 37%. Now see, imagine it, 70% of population, 70% of candidates who contest or who got selected are the people who are having this criminal records. Having FIR, maybe civil kind of thing is a different thing, but criminal history, that is criminal activities are almost most of the times it is a non-bailable warrant kind of things. Now if people who are having criminal background are ruling us, then where is it ethics or moralities that are going into, and this is what the Supreme Court is concerned about. And if this continues to happen in politics, then this will be eroding the credibility of democracy in future. This is what the Supreme Court has warned the lawmakers, and also it has given the guidelines for all the parties to publish their candidates' criminal records within a very short span of time. The criminalization of politics means the participation of criminals in politics, which includes that criminals can contest in the elections and get elected as member of parliament and state legislature. It takes place primarily due to the nexus between politician and criminals. This is what happening, and as this is the situation, people will be not interested in participation in the democracy. The participation in democracy is the key role player to be a successful democracy. The next thing is NCPCR survey finds gaps, wants all minority schools under Right to Education Act. Now what is this NCPCR and what are the related articles that are in the constitution are relevant in this article? NCPCR is National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Now this organization is working towards the protection of child rights, and this has conducted a survey about the success or the analysis or review of the 93rd Amendment Act, which happened in which has added Article 15 subsection 5, and this is all about availing the people who are of minorities for the appreciation, or maybe the state governments to enable them or provide some subsidies, or maybe allowing them to establish their own institutions. This also provided under Article 30. Now what happened? Under Article 21A, every school is supposed to allow the people who are having interest, or it is a compulsory education, who are in the range of 6 and 14 will be admitted into the age appropriate class. But these minority schools which are recognized as minority schools are not coming under the purview of Right to Education Act. And coming to who are the minority, minorities are the people who are having a minus like a limited, very less amount percentage of population in our country. Islam, Christianity and other communities are coming under this minority. And now out of all the people who are out of the schools, 1.1 crore children are from only Islam community, and then rest of the people are from other communities. Now if you take these minority institutions, most of the minority institutions are having non-minority students in their schools. That is, when it is coming to Christian minority schools, that is containing 74.5% of non-minority students as their students. Now here in this condition, how logical it is or moral it is to continue in this situation when it is denying or it is not allowing the people who are minorities to get educated, and on the contrary it is getting educated to other communities. So that is the reason why the panel is trying to think of bringing in all these institutions under the Right to Education Act purview, so that it will be enabling each and everybody to admit into the schools. The 93rd constitutional amendment allows the government to make special provisions for amendment of any socially and educationally advancement of social and educationally backward classes of citizens, including their admission in aided or unaided private educational institutions. ISRO SAC instrument finds presence of hydroxyl and water molecules on moon. It's been quite long time. ISRO and other space organizations are trying to find out water content or any other content that is available on the moon and extraterrestrial bodies. Now finally ISRO's IIRS instrument has found out there is a hydroxyl. What is that hydroxyl? Like OH and H2O they have found on the surface of the moon or on the atmosphere of the moon. What is this IIRS? Imagining Infrared Spectrometer. This is the instrument that they used to find out the water or hydroxyl. Now with this unambiguously we have found out that on the moon there is a small amount of water available. The Imagining Infrared Spectrometer, an imaging instrument that collects information from electromagnetic spectrum for understanding the mineral composition of lunar surface, with each element possessing a spectral signature unique to itself, was developed by Ahmedabad based unit Space Application Center. Now this may be asked, where is Space Application Center of ISRO? That is, answer is Ahmedabad. There may be all possibility of asking this in multiple ways. What is IIRS? Imagining Infrared Spectrometer. This is what the answer would be. So like this article is clearly for the preliminary based of the exam. Now the next thing is connecting India by inland waterways. What changes in country? Old vessel law. Old vessel law was there in promulgated in 1917, where it has been several times amended from right after the independence, but it felt that it is no use to amend, but it is better to create a new one. That is the reason why it is brought into light now. And recently in 2016 the Inland Waterways Act has found out new 106 waterways possible in our country. Already there are 5 inland waterways are working in our country. Now putting all together, there are 13 inland waterways are functional today. Now let us try to throw more light into the what are inland waterways and how these are helpful and what consequences it will be leading to and what measures we have to take while we are using this. Now inland waterways are the waterways that are helpful for the transportation of goods or maybe the human traffic. Now this area where it will be very much pretty cheap for the transportation purpose. If you compare what fuel efficiency, if you want to transport 1 metric ton on the road, it takes for 1 liter of fuel 28 kilometers. But whereas it is on the train, it will be taking 98 kilometer, and here on waterways it will be helping you with more than 200 kilometers with one unit of fuel. So you can imagine how cheap it will be converting into, but if you compare with the road, it will be 1/10 of the price. But what are the shortcomings that it is having? It is only limited space where you can transport. It is not that well connected throughout the country. And apart from that, we are having ephemeral rivers. What are ephemeral rivers? Ephemeral rivers are the seasonal rivers which will be flowing only during the time of monsoon, or maybe whenever it is having the water to flow after the monsoon time, that is from July to maybe September or October. Now there are perennial rivers like Ganga and Brahmaputra, other rivers. Like these rivers are only rivers where it will be providing a continuous amount of supply of water. Now where are these? The inland waterway 1 is national waterway 1 is Ganga river, and then Bhagirathi. There may be all possibility of asking questions. Which of the following are the part of national waterway 1? Bhagirathi, Ganga, Hooghly river. These three are the rivers that are falling under the national waterway 1. National waterway 2, Sadiya is the place, Dhubri is the place, Brahmaputra is the national waterway 2. National waterway 97 is the Sundarban waterways. Now national waterway 4 is Krishna river. Now Tapi is national waterway 100, and all other rivers are there which will be, maybe there is a possibility of asking these questions. Now what are the other consequences it will be leading to? If you keep increasing the traffic in these waterways, then there will be disturbance in the ecosystem of these rivers. What are the, let us take national waterway 1, Ganga river. We know that dolphins are living over here and they are not having the ice, so there may be all possibility of they will be coming under conflict with these vessels, and there will be extinction of or maybe severely decrease in the number of dolphins in this river. Likewise, ecological impact is also there due to these waterways. National waterways. National Waterway Act came into effect in 2016. It proposed 106 additional national waterways and merges 5 existing acts which were declared under the 5 National Waterways Act. As a result, 106 new waterways identified by Indian Inland Waterway Authority of India and intimated to Ministry of Shipping. This will be coming under the Ministry of Shipping, and there is a authority, Inland Waterway Authority of India is there. In this regard, the National Waterways Act 2016 was published in the Gazette of India. Extraordinary Part 2 Section 1 dated 26 March 2016 as an 2016. In 1986, the Government of India created the Inland Waterway Authority of India. When did this Inland Waterway Authority of India created? In 1986, for regulation and development of the inland waterways for navigation and shipping. Out of 111 national waterways declared under the National Waterways Act 2016, 13 are operational for shipping and navigation and cargo passenger vessels. Lok Sabha clears bill restoring states' rights to specify OBC groups. Now there is an issue that the reservation should not cross 50%. Under this provision, maybe this is allowed for the states under the special circumstances. There are some states where it has crossed even 50%, like Tamil Nadu. It extends up to almost 69% of reservation to the people who are maybe marginal, socio-economically marginalized sections are there. Then recently, based on the Supreme Court's decision that it has and under the 102nd Amendment Act, what happened is it has led to take away the states' rights to declare which are the groups that are OBC or EBC, economically or other backward classes. Now what happened? That there is a bill proposed in the Parliament now, and Lok Sabha has cleared unanimously by almost nobody has questioned anything within this. Now the states are empowered to make any declaration about the OBC communities. Now where does this come from? This has come from Jat demand of Jat community from Punjab and Haryana, and the Marathas from Maharashtra, and also Kapu community from the Andhra Pradesh. These are the people who started demanding their community to be included in the OBC. And apart from that, there are other provisions that are recently central government has promulgated a 10% of reservation to be provided to the all the sections of people whoever are having socio-economically got affected severely, whose economic capabilities are very less, and due to this they are not able to avail the facilities. And irrespective of what community they are, they will be availed to have this percentage of reservation in the seats of education or maybe in the other areas. So now the states are empowered to take these decisions. Thank you.
Add-on solutions. Add-on desires.